Hey Diva women and everybody watching today. Let me just make sure that I don't look like a ghost. I'm in black and white because it's the best looking filter I could find. I'm rushing out in a moment to have lunch with friends and I need to get some food and I wanted to have a quick chat. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to pop on. Oh, the conversation we need to have today. And I wasn't going to wait and I wasn't going to hesitate. And I wasn't going to shut up. And I wasn't going to hide. And I wasn't ever going to allow myself to just think about it. I decided to come and speak up and share with you. For those of you who know me, I am a divine leader of the light. And I am here to ensure that women do not remain victims. And I will speak up for it and I will call you into action. But today I have something important to share. I didn't watch the whole Tony Robbins thing about what he said or what he didn't do or shaming women or the woman that he spoke to about really, she shared apparently that she was abused. But I just wanted to really speak a little bit more to this, so I'm not going to blame anyone or shame anyone. What I did pick up, I will say, is that, you know, Tony Robbins has probably talked about it a little bit, but not a lot, has obviously been very traumatized in his early childhood. So deeply traumatized. And he hasn't gone into great depth, but I really could feel the vibration of that today. And so sometimes, you know, with all these people that are so-called leaders, we need to love them and appreciate them, send them love and light, and that they're doing the best in the way that they know how. And sometimes they just do not know how to hold space in a way that needs to be seen, I think, a lot more, where a woman can share her pain, a woman or a man, share their pain, share their struggles, share their... Literally the word that's coming up is like a putrefaction of the soul. It's like deep sacred wounding, right? And in order from my experience for this to be really resolved, we need sacred spaces also to share it and to be seen and to be held by both by the divine femme and the masculine. When someone has been sexually abused, I've had this case happen with two different men, those with the book deals and all that kind of stuff, and they have been really triggered around Me Too, and those men have been sexually abused, right? I found out, and I'm pretty sure that there's probably been that for Tony as well. So we need to be really compassionate and we need to be loving and send them love, and then we need to understand what we need, and we need to say no to people shutting us down and calling us victims when all we're doing is sharing the truth of what has happened to us. So part of healing, you know, I'm fierce, but part of healing that it needs to happen, and that's why I have the sacred spaces in my communities. There's times when you need to share, you need to cry, you need to sob, you need to be held, you need to release. You need to release the crucifixion. You need to release the story. And so that story, hey darling, that story needs to be heard. And shame on anyone, man or woman, who condemns you a victim. Because we look at what's happened with what Bill Cosby and, you know, the statutes of limits and everything that's happening, where if a woman shares her story 15, 20, 30 years later, the person can't be convicted, and that she's shamed, that she's in some way lied, or why is she held onto it? The reason why she's held onto it is because people don't believe us, right? People don't believe us. People don't know what to do. People don't know how to respond. And then it's hidden and it becomes this darkness. So we need to share our stories, and then we need to ensure that we're not putrefied by it any longer, right? So in sharing this story, in being held, in being caressed, in being loved, healing that inner child, you can then deeply release it so that you can be free. As free as you can with someone who suffered from sexual abuse, right? Which is really abuse of the soul. Some people may never fully recover. But I think that the sharing and the love and patience around people's process of healing is really important. I have people that come to work with me, and it may take them 3 to 6 months to really clear through their trauma. And it doesn't have to happen in an instant, but we need to give ourselves the time. In a rush, push society, we're not sometimes given enough time, and we have to learn to give that to ourselves, the time that we need to heal. When I went through my deep trauma and release of that trauma, it took me a few years to recalibrate, and I still work on it today, every single day, to have more presence and love for myself. So no matter who you're working with or who you're following, always come back to, really looking at, asking your soul, what do I need? And if something doesn't feel good, go to where it does feel good, because you deserve to be held. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be cuddled and embraced so that you can release that trauma, right? To release the trauma, to learn from it, reconnect to your heart and your power, and release and release and release. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to heal and ascend, and then you may feel that you come crashing down again because a new level is there, and you're not a frigging victim, Divine One. You're a vixen. You are incredible. You are amazing. And we women need to learn how to hold sacred space for our emotion. We do need to give ourselves permission to release the story, to transmute the darkness and come into our light. But you can't just put a Band-Aid on it. Sometimes you're going to have to cry and sob and stay in bed and feel like death and dying, because you are dying. Oh, bless you, Karen. You are dying, because that darkness needs to be released, and in that there will be a death, and there may be tears, and you may feel a remembrance of that suffering. And in doing that, you are releasing that suffering on such a profound level. I used to feel panic attacks when I was going through my healing, because I actually didn't really know what was happening. And I was brought up in a society, when I even had I had benign tumor, they thought I had cancer, I had 3 surgeries, and I hemorrhaged, and I had blood poisoning, and anyway, I almost died from that surgery. And because of my conditioning, even when I came out of hospital, it was like, when are you going back to work? When are you going, when's it happening? That was my conditioning. And I don't blame anyone for that, right? Oh, bless you, right? But what I learned from that experience was that I needed to learn how to hold sacred space for myself and my body and my healing. And rather than attacking myself for wanting to rest, attacking myself for feeling deep pain, attacking myself for having rage, attacking myself for feeling broken or like I was unraveling. And instead, I have learned through 43 years of healing from my wounds, from the rape and the abuse that I've suffered in this lifetime and many other lifetimes, that we must hold sacred space for ourselves through the letting go and the release and the tears, so that we can rebirth, so that we can resurrect. And we need to give ourselves that time and that space. Sometimes every month I feel like I'm having a death that I'm renewing. And what is different now is that I honor my emotion. I'm not afraid of it. I don't attack myself from feeling those emotions. I see it with love. I see it with reverence. And I trust that in that process of holding space for myself, I am alchemizing and resurrecting my entire life energy and frequency. But by denying it and attacking ourselves and being told that we are victims by voicing our pain, I say no. And I send you love because you have been abused and you don't even know how to process it properly. And now you're putting your projection of your suffering out onto others. That is what is happening because they have been abused and they have not fully dealt with it. They have not fully dealt with it, and that is okay. No shame on you, but do not shame us for feeling and grieving. You may sob. You may sob. Give yourself permission to sob. And in doing that with time and love and patience, you will resurrect. Who is here with me on this? You may need to sob. I have women come in and to work with me and their faces change, their voices change. Everything changes as they remember who they are, as they release. But there is a process of that release, of the grief, of the shedding. There are those who perpetuate it for years and decades. I was one of those women. So we have to know when is it the time to process and grieve, and when is it time to say, okay, well, what have I learned from this? And if I release that trauma deeply and came home to myself and didn't blame myself any longer and didn't shame myself any longer, how would I feel? Who would I be? And what would it take for me to allow myself to be free and to allow myself to resurrect, allow myself to, I don't even want to say heal, because really the message is that we want to cultivate from my perspective is I am healed, I am whole. No matter whether you've been raped, vilified, attacked, abused, to remember that no one can make you dirty. No one can make you wrong. No man can make you worthless. And so don't take any attack that has been done to you and attack yourself because it's happened. Because that's what I did for years. So instead of releasing the rage, instead of dealing with it and really looking at, oh my God, this amount, because it started so young for me, and it was from people that I loved the most, who I felt betrayed me the most, I didn't know how to process it. And instead, because society tells us that we are bad, that we are wrong, that that there's something wrong with us, we then internalize, usually. I see this so much, but I'll speak for myself. I know that I internalized that and made me bad and wrong. And in doing that, I did poison myself for many, many years but I have the utmost love for that woman that I was, because that woman didn't know how to take all my pain and my rage and my suffering. I didn't even know how to say, no, get out of my face. The way that you treat me is inappropriate. Get the frig away from me. Because when it starts young, that's all we know. And then why would we attack ourselves for that? Because we're brainwashed. And they want us to internalize and attack ourselves. So in this moment, I'm inviting you to make a holy divine vow that you will allow yourself to process the emotion, to hold sacred space for yourself and put that dagger down. Divine woman, put the dagger down. And love yourself and honor yourself and cry a million tears if you need to. And when you are ready to resurrect and allow yourself to rise like a phoenix, you will. And you can make a choice around that. I do believe that too. For me, I use my wounds and my pain to teach, to share, to guide. I use my grief and my shock around some of the things that have happened, and I'm still like, and I see now, rather than making it so much my wound, I see their wound, the woundedness, right, of those people, and I can have a lot more empathy and love for those people, because they are in suffering and they don't know anything else. And so when a man like Tony Robbins, he's trying to do his best, but if he is in suffering still and denying it and pushing it down, he just wants everyone to move, you know, and it's great. It's great to have someone like me or those sorts of people who are activators, but there is a process around that, you know. You just can't say love and just forgive and just love. There is a process of healing. And what I see is, and releasing, right? That what I see is that so many people want to rush through it. You don't want to perpetuate it and go on for years and years. But for me, it went on for years and years and years because I didn't allow myself the time and the space and the honoring to release and to feel it and to get support. And what I would always do is the emotion would come up and then I would shut it down and then push myself down and feel bad. And so what happens is you have a toxic environment. You have a toxic emotional landscape, an energetic, and then a physical landscape. And then if you want to talk about the external reality, then that becomes chaotic and messed up too. Does that make sense? Because then you start attracting and bringing all that stuff in, right? So I hope what I'm saying makes sense to you. I think the Me Too movement is helping women heal, own our stories, own our voices. I think it's helping us release shame and becoming more powerful leaders. I don't think it's perpetuating the cycle of victimhood. That is my opinion. That's how I see it, so that's how it is for me. That's my interpretation. And everybody else is going to have an interpretation about who you are and how you should be and what is right and what is wrong, what is acceptable, what is strong, what is weak. At the end of the day, we need to trust ourselves. We need to decide what our own perception and perspective is, what feels right to us without all the noise, without all the story. And for me, without a shadow of a doubt, I know the Me Too movement is liberating us and healing as it allows us to be together in sisterhood, supporting each other. So don't allow anyone to shut you down. If you want to share your story, share your story. If you want to grieve and take up space in that way and allow yourself to feel the F out of it, do it. Do it. Do it. Because I think it's a potent part of your healing and ascension. And that's all I have to share today. I've got to go buy food and play the host. The many faces of what it is to be a woman. But I will tell you this, I wrote a post in my free group about I will not be a broke or broken or good girl woman. I will not toe the line. You won't tell me what I need for my healing. You won't tell me what I need to do to be acceptable. You won't tell me how to behave, how to show up on camera, how to behave on a workshop or webinar or a training. I'll do it how I want. I will not censor myself. I will not contradict myself. I will not abandon myself. I will do it how I see fit to do it from my truth. And anyone who likes it, friggin' wonderful. And if not, that's okay too. Because it doesn't bother me because I've given myself permission to be free, to be liberated. Because I will not contract. I will not restrict. I will not pull myself down, because I did that for decades, and I say no more, and I will not allow anyone to dictate how I should be. And I don't want to be good. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to lead. I'm here to own my voice. I'm here to have a great time. I'm here to help women. I'm here to serve, and I'm not going to do it in any way that might please others. I'm doing it for my own self-service of self-expression. I have so much to do in the world, and why would I allow someone to dictate to me how I should be? And neither should you. Because you have all the answers inside. You know what your truth is and your expression is. Allow yourself to be free. And for me, when I'm speaking and talking and teaching, it just comes out because I'm no longer willing to be a puppet or a fixture, owned and manipulated and controlled by others. And that's where we are no longer victims, because we will do it how we want to do it. We'll speak how we want to speak it. If we want to rage, and if we want to march, and if we want to rant, and if we want to cry, and if we want to get on podiums and speak poetry about the abuse and the injustice that is happening around the world, how women are gang raped still today around the world, abused and hit by our husbands, underpaid and mistreated, and shout out that there is a war against women, we will do that. And no one is going to shame us. They can say whatever they want to say. They can do whatever they want to do. But we will not be silenced. Can I get an amen on that? We will not be silenced. Okay? I'm sending you so much love. Kisses. You're amazing. Blessings, 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 blessings. Amen, sisters. I love you all. You're amazing. Don't let anyone tell you how you need to be. Be free. Kisses.